first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. That is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast every Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. until 1 p.m. broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio. Our broadcast is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature, it is untouched by man? It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. It appears we had a little delay in our technology coming up this morning. So for all of you who are new listeners and viewers, I'm just going to say, I'm Pastor Pope, and we thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. So as you know, we're here to discuss the issues of life. We do this every Monday through Friday from 12 p.m. now until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You asked for it, you got it. You wanted a 1 hour broadcast. So we're giving you just what you've asked for. For all of our listeners and viewers, we thank you for continuing to be part of the 3D Daily Divine Direction broadcast. We've had such an increase in viewership over the years, so we thank all of you for tuning in and for being with us every Monday through Friday. Scheduling permitted, we are right here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And for all of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and all of you who use the QR code or the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your commitment and for your support as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So let me say to all of our listeners and viewers, we are still in the midst, and this is for all of our U.S. listeners and viewers. You know, I get some communications from people and they'll say, well, you know, we're international listeners, and that's great. We thank all of you that are tuning in Brazil and in Switzerland. We see you. We know you're with us. And this is for all of our U.S. listeners right now. We are going to do something later for our international listeners and viewers, but we are in the midst of our FijiWater.com sponsored promo. So every day at 11 a.m. or 6 p.m., the first 3 songs you hear, list those songs along with your name and your email address. Text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. As you know, one of our listeners and viewers will be selected every month for the remainder of the year to receive a case of Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, from FijiWater.com. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you had a recent breakup and you said you became intimate with someone who has been your friend for many years. And you said now you're concerned that it will ruin the friendship. Well, here's the reality. That really shouldn't be your first concern, but we'll address your concern first, and then we'll talk about the issues that surround that. So you have to expect it, maybe not to ruin the friendship, but the friendship is going to change. You know, I know there's a term in our society, friends with benefits, and you know, there's a lot of different analogies that go along with that. But you got to know that anytime you become intimate with someone, there's going to be a change in the relationship or change in the friendship. It's not going to necessarily ruin the friendship if you both are adult about it, but it will change. It will change. So your concern is valid, but that's really not the talking point, because you just have to understand that there is going to be a change. You got out of a breakup recently. Here's the reality. Your friendship was basically break glass in case of emergency. Okay, so let's clear that up first of all. You have been friends with him for many years, but you knew he was always there. He's been your friend for many years, but he knew that if you needed him, he would be there. So basically, break glass in case of emergency. But the reality is, you don't have to allow it, if you're being mature adults, you don't have to allow it to ruin your friendship. You just have to understand that the friendship, AKA relationship, is going to change. It's going to evolve in a different way. There's going to be different components to it now because you've been intimately involved. The bigger issue is that you have to recognize that any person you lie down with, and I've said this over and over again, not necessarily so much in 3D, but certainly in Sunday sermons at New Life Christian Center. Every time you lie down with someone, every person you lie down with, there's an exchange of spirits. There's a spirit exchange. Because now you've taken on some of their DNA. I'm going to give you the science aspect of it also. You've now taken on the DNA of another person. It may not last because you can break that. But you got to realize there's going to be an exchange of spirits the moment you lie down with someone. The moment you become intimate with someone, you are exchanging DNA, whether it's through kissing, whether it's through sexual contact. You're exchanging spirits. So you got to recognize that you can't just lie down with anyone. Now, you said he's been your friend for many years, so you know a lot of his behavioral patterns. You think you understand his mindset. However, now there's an intimacy component. So some of that's going to change. Some of his behavior is going to change. Some of his mindset is going to change. And the same is going to happen for you. And so this is important for all of our listeners and viewers to understand that every person we become intimately involved with, there is an exchange of spirits. You got to know the spirit you're lying down with. You've got to know who you become involved with. You got to know if they're stable. You got to know if they've got a lot of underlying issues. You just can't exchange spirits with just anybody. And that's why for a long time, there was the conversation about celibacy. There was conversation about trying to hold off intimacy, sexual contact until you're married. But people don't always do that. And so the reality is, you got to take into consideration what spirit are you going to exchange with the person you become involved with. Now, he was your friend, and as I said, the friendship's going to change. You know what your relationship has been in the past. You know what his relationships have been in the past. He knows what your relationship was like that you got out of. But you both don't know what a relationship's going to be like with one another intimately. You only know what your friendship has been like to date. So you need to know in the years to come, that's going to change. And now here's the question. So for all of our listeners and viewers, the spirits that attach themselves to us, you know, it's, if you lie down with someone I'm just going to use this as an example. If you lie down with someone who has depression, sooner or later that depression is going to have an impact on you. If you lie down with someone who has, and it might not be the exact same spirit, but the spirit may transform itself into something else, because spirits have the ability to do that. They have the ability to know your weaknesses and transfer one spirit, it'll transform itself into something else. You might not be a gambler, but if you lie down with a gambler, that gambling spirit will transform itself into something else. Something that will then be familiar to you. That's why it's called, in the Bible, it says familiar spirits. It will transform itself into something that's familiar to you. So it may not be that you become an addictive gambler, but you may suffer from depression because you have the potential to look at things from a pessimistic point of view. Now it then becomes, anxiety, and then the anxiety then becomes perhaps depression. It can manifest itself or form itself or transform itself into many different spirits. As the Bible tells us, there's many spirits. But you've got to know the spirit. You've got to know the person that you're going to become intimately involved with. And you got to know them in a greater way than, do they look good? Do they have a nice smile? Do they, you got to know, you got to really know the spirit. And so you've got to understand, I know I'm taking you further than you asked for, but this is important that you understand. Not only, you're not going to ruin, you didn't ruin the friendship, but you've changed the friendship. And now you two are both exchange spirits, which is going to be a change in both of you. He's going to take on some of your spirit, whatever your issues might be. We all have issues. You're going to take on some of his spirit, so whatever his issues are, you're going to take some of that on. There's going to be some dynamics that will change, and they will evolve. And you might not like the way they evolve, but in the end, the best you can hope for is to revert back to the friendship. But even that's going to change. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. At T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you have been a single mother for quite some time, and now that you have a new relationship, you say you're finding it difficult to allow him to take the lead. Okay, so listen, here's the reality. For so long as a single mother, you only have one child. And as a single mother, your responsibility was to protect the child, to nurture the child, protect the child, and to develop the child. I usually would have put that in order, so I'm going to put it in reverse alphabetical order: protect, nurture, and develop. Okay? Those were your responsibilities for a very long time. It became habit for you because that's what you knew to do. So it's all the little things. It's doesn't have to be the major things yet. He's not your husband. But you've got to allow him to lead. If he's following God, you've got to allow him to lead so that you all can get to the place that God has appointed for your life. So it's those little small things that you got to allow him to do. You've got to allow him to protect. So, simple analogy. So I always say to people, for me, if I'm walking with someone, I'm walking on the outside of the curb. And the reason is because, first of all, I'm a gentleman. Second of all, my father, God rest his soul, always told me that a gentleman always walks on the outside. Because if a car comes, I grew up in the city, so if a car comes, you have the opportunity to get everyone else out the way and you take the brunt of it. You're going to take the hit. Well, it's the same thing about life. It's the man's responsibility to take the hit. Whatever goes right, wrong, or indifferent, God's going to hold the man responsible. But you have to make sure you get a godly man, because otherwise he's not going to be that. And then secondly, you need a gentleman. Yeah, I know, there's a lot of young ladies who say, oh, they want a roughneck, they want they want a thug. How's that working for you? The reality is you need someone who's going to be a man of God, a gentleman, who's going to understand the importance of protecting you and your child. Even if he's not the father, he has to be willing to protect, nurture, and develop. He has to be willing to do that. But you've got to get out of your own way. And that's difficult for people when they've been doing something one way for so long. We think it's the right way to do things, but it doesn't make it the right way. It made it the right way for a period of time. But now you've got someone who's clearly telling you he wants to someday marry you. And someday for him doesn't mean far off. It means he wants to get married. He understands the importance of getting married at a point where hopefully you will prayerfully have the opportunity to have a healthy child. So he's saying, I'm going to not only father your child from your previous relationship, but he hopes to have another child, maybe at least one more. But the point to that is, he's ready to do that. So you have to be willing to allow him to do that. The Holy Spirit, the scripture says, I always say, is a gentleman. So if he's a gentleman, he's not going to force you to do those things, but he's going to guide you to doing those things, allowing him to do even the smallest of things that need to be done to prepare to build a strong family, a great family. But you have to be willing to get out of your own way. But you've been in your way for so long, you're finding it difficult to get out of your way. So, okay, you said you've been a single mother for quite some time. You say it's difficult. You've got to renew your mind. Listen, make a conscious decision that you're going to renew your mind. You're not going to feel the necessity to be heard on every issue. You're not going to feel the necessity to get in the way when he's trying to lead you the right way. You've got to renew your mind. Because you've been doing it, you've been doing it your way for a long time, and that's okay, because you had to. But now you don't have to. Because he's trying to prepare you for marriage and prepare you to be part of building something great, a great family. So, there's a lot of single mothers out there. And the reason is because we have a 50% divorce rate. There's a lot of single mothers. But we have to recognize that when someone comes into your life who's willing to lead and go forward, You know, what you're working for then is not to make the relationship a job. What you're working for then is to build a great quality of life together. Build a great, strong family, great family. That's what you're working for. And if you don't learn to get out of your way now by renewing your mind, you'll still be getting in the way long after that happens, if he doesn't go his way first. The good news is for you is that he's someone that doesn't scare easy, meaning he's someone that's not going to let you getting in the way become a determining factor on what he's trying to accomplish. He's got staying power. That's what you want. Trust me when I tell you, you don't want someone that's going to fade in the end. He's got staying power, but you've got to renew your mind, because that will really allow you to go to the next level, become a married couple, have more children, build a great family, a strong family. And you're young enough to do that. You know, you're mid-30s. I get a lot of communications from people in their mid-30s. But I will tell you, you're young enough to still do that. You know, at your age, you still got some time to really get this thing right, to renew your mind. You know, the old adage for people of our generation is that you're set in your ways. Well, you're not really set in your ways yet. You're just in your way. Just begin to renew your mind. Have conversations with him. Don't talk at him, talk to him, so that he can then tell you what's on his mind, so that you can get to the place that God has appointed for all of your lives, not just for you and him, but for you, him, and your child and your unborn children that will come with the marriage. And to God be the glory. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Comcast Business. We all need to be more effective and efficient in business. Comcast Business will give you the opportunity to do just that. Call Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and with a qualifying bundle, you will receive up to a $800 prepaid Visa gift card. Call Eunice, Comcast Business, at 603-222-7706. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. But I want to remind everyone we're in the midst of our FijiWater.com sponsored promo. So one of our listeners and viewers will receive, one of our U.S. listeners and viewers will receive be selected to receive a case of Earth's Finest Water from FijiWater.com. At 11 a.m., go to our internet radio station, WKAPFaith.com. Or 6 p.m. at WKAPFaith.com. The first 3 songs you hear, list them along with your name and your email address. Text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. Someone will receive a case of Earth's Finest Water from FijiWater.com. As you know, Matthew Young of Media, Pennsylvania was our June winner of our FijiWater.com sponsored studio. The July winner could be you. Go to WKAPFaith.com, 11 a.m. or 6 p.m. The first 3 songs you hear, list them along with your name, email address, and text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your family has unrealistic expectations for you. They expect you to take over the family business, and that is not what you want to do with your life. Okay, so let me start here first. And this is just to get this response started. Why? Why would you not be interested in taking over the family business that has been developed for the next generation. You say they have unrealistic expectations for you. Their expectations for you are great expectations. That's why they've worked so hard. Listen, you got to understand your family is now building first generational wealth. No one in your family history has had wealth before. They're building first generational wealth. They want you said they expect you to take over the family business. So there's a little pressure there that you're dealing with because you want to do something else and you feel that you need to do it by yourself. You need to do that. They've done it, you need to do it. And there's some validity to you doing something. That's called diversification. But the family business is already established. You can build on that and explore other options. So you have to ask yourself why. Why is that not what you want to do with your life? You've got something you can build on if you're willing to put in the work. If you're not going to do that, then what your parents should do is sell the family business, and when they're done building their wealth, sell the family business and do what they want to do with the money until they go and leave you whatever they're going to leave you. Because you're not looking at the big picture. There's a lot of tentacles that can come out of, I don't eat calamari, but I can use the octopus as an example. Okay? Here's the reality. The reality is that when you look at the octopus, it has a lot of tentacles. You've got to think about what you can build outside of the family business, but use the family business as your base. Use the family business that's already been established, that's going to allow you to build relationships, develop connections, because it's already been established. You're not trying to figure it out. You're not trying, all of that's nice. I get it. When you go out on your own and do something positive, and that's a great thing. But you got to look at the big picture. You got to look at, I got a foundation to build on. Let me look at what can be extended from there. That's what you want to look at. You want to really take the time to examine what your family has already established and put some work into it so that you understand the big picture, and then take over the family business and begin to diversify from there. Because that's going to give you a lot of opportunity. But you just got to decide, make a decision that you're willing to do that. You're willing to sacrifice your own, not your own goals, just your own ability to say you've done it yourself. That's a mindset, because our culture hasn't had a lot in the decades before us, in the century before us. So the mindset is, I've got to do it. But there's also opportunity for someone like you who has a family that's building generational wealth to say, okay, I have an advantage now. I can build on that platform. I can begin to extend some tentacles from what's been established here. I've watched families over the course of my lifetime, I've watched families develop third and fourth generation companies. Third and fourth generation. I even know a family, I have understood their philosophy. They're literally in their fifth generation. I've literally known of a family who's a fifth generation of building, continuing to build their family wealth and preserve it. I've seen that. It's feasible, but we've got to start from the baseline because we didn't, our culture didn't have that. You've got an opportunity. Don't pass it up. Ask yourself, why are you passing it up? Are you concerned that you won't live up to their expectations? I don't think that's it. You're trying to prove that you can do what they've done. You can do it. You're trying to prove it. They're not asking you to prove it. All they're asking you to do is carry it on. But you've got to be willing. You've got to be willing to say, okay, I'm going to put some work into what's already been established and continue to move it forward. Continue to build more generational wealth. Continue to build and preserve generational wealth. And that's really all your family's asking you to do. You're being a little hard on them when you say their expectations are unrealistic for you. The only reason they're unrealistic is because you decided this isn't what you want for your life. And Lord knows I've seen that many times too. And that doesn't always work out so well. It just is what it is. Sit down with your family and have a real conversation with them. Sit down and find out where they want to take you. And then you can make some decisions on how you can expand the tentacles of what's being done. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. There you will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, just simply go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, who's the general manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the Porsche you desire to own. And if you currently own a Porsche and you're in our area, go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, who is the service manager, PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone schedule an appointment for you. They will pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner vehicle to you, and return your vehicle to you when your service has been completed at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are starting a new business. You want to know how to ensure your business is successful. So, I hear this a lot from people. I get a lot of communications about people going into business. And one of the things I've said over the years, and I'm going to touch on this because it's real important that we understand this. You've got to, first and foremost, you've got to go into business with the right state of mind. So the right state of mind is also relative to your behavior, your personality. You've got to decide, do I have the discipline? Do I have the right, let me walk you through this. Do I have the right attitude for business? Do I have the right behavior for business? You know, you hear people say they want to go into business all the time. And I see this a lot when people are communicating regarding, this particular issue. And one of the things people often talk about is, they want to leave their professional environment and go into business because they'd like to have more time to themselves. They'd like to be more in control of their own schedule. I hear people say, I want to be able to go into business and I want to be able to travel and I want to be able to, make a lot of money. I hear a lot of different reasons, but they're never the right reason. The people who have the right reasons when they communicate, I tell them that, okay, you're ready for this, but you got to have the right state of mind. So your attitude has to be right about business. Your behavior has to be right. Your commitment has to be right. Your dedication, the spirit of excellence. You've all heard me talk. You got to have faith if you're going to go into business. You cannot go into business and not believe that in the end it's going to be successful. And notice I said the end. It's ever going to be evolving. It's not going to, you go into business this year and next year you're going to be able to do whatever you want to do because it's going to blow up. No, you're gonna have to take it to the next level to be sustainable. You've got to have the right state of mind to be an entrepreneur. To go into business requires the right state of mind. One thing you have to have is discipline. And then you've got to have purpose. Your purpose for going into business cannot be you want to make a lot of money, you want to have more time to yourself, because neither of those are going to happen immediately. You build a business, which means you build the revenue with the growth. And you have an increase of capital in your life, but you have to be responsible for that capital. So that's another issue, another topic. I'll get to that in a moment, the responsibility of business. You cannot go into business thinking you're going to have more time to yourself, because every step of the way, as you continue to grow, it's going to require more of your time. You have to know that, and this is why it requires a state of mind, the right state of mind. You have to know that when you go into business, you're going to have less time. If your business is going to be successful, that's how you ensure that your business is successful. You've got to dedicate your time to your business. You have to be constantly thinking or working to grow, to advance, to further the business. What's the purpose of you going into business? It's not those two things. Your purpose is that you have something of value to provide to the public or add to our society. That's the purpose of going into business. The money will come. Your ability to be able to take a little time for yourself here or there comes after you have trained someone, groomed someone to be able to leave it in their hands while you're away for a few days. You have to go into business with purpose. And the purpose can't be, I need more time to myself. I don't want to have to deal with other people. I don't want to work for someone else. And I want to make a lot of money. That's not a purpose. That's just self. You've got to have a purpose for going into business. I've got goods or services that the public needs to experience. That's a purpose. I'm going to provide a goods or services that is going to impact our society. That's a purpose. I'm going to develop something and present it to the public that's going to change the lives. The use of it will change the lives of the society in which we live. That's a purpose. That's what you go into business for purpose. And the responsibility is great. To whom much is given, much is required. Responsibility. You have to go into business knowing that you've got a great responsibility now. There are people depending on you to get out of bed every day. The public is depending on your goods and services. You have employees who have to pay their mortgages and pay their car notes and send their kids to school. You have responsibility when you become a business owner. So you have to, in order for you to ensure your business is successful, those are the three things you have to do. And then you have to do these three things. You have to identify what you need to accomplish to continue your business, sustain your business, short term, mid-term, and long term. That's why we talk about 7 years, 14 years, 21 years. Well, in business, you need to focus on 28 years, 35 years, 42 years, 49 years. The point is, that's half a century, right? The point is, it's now sustainable. And how do I accomplish that? Short term, mid-term, long term. Will I prepare to pivot if there's a shift in the way we do business? Am I prepared for that? Those are all things you have to identify. You have to make a decision because you're the owner. You're the business owner. You become the responsible party for everything that happens moving forward in the business. So in order to ensure your business is going to be successful, I'm going to give you these steps, and then you can build on that. State of mind. Make sure your mind is right for business. Purpose, responsibility. How about this? State of mind, responsibility, purpose. You've got to know that those three things, you're prepared for those three things. That you're prepared to pursue business. And then you can ensure it's successful. And you've got a plan for the long term. You have to. Because if you don't plan for the long term, your business won't last. That's the reality. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Under Armour Golf. If you are interested in any way in experiencing the game of golf, go to underarmour.com/golf. You will see everything that Under Armour has to offer for you to experience the game of golf at underarmour.com/golf. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are in your mid-30s, here we go, and finding it difficult to be in a committed relationship. You said the things you enjoy doing, successful men do not want to do. Here's your question is, how do you find someone to be in a committed relationship with who enjoys doing what you enjoy doing? That's an oxymoron. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. Because in your communication, clearly you're all over the place. That's why you're finding it difficult to be in a committed relationship. You will exhaust a man before he proposes to you. Now, I'm not being harsh, but I wanted to say that so that you understand that if you're going to be in a successful relationship, you cannot be all over the place. See, you enjoy partying. Successful men are not interested in that. They're focused on their success. The key word is successful. You are not interested in someone who's focused on their success. You're interested in someone who has a little money, who wants to party. Those are players. And you can't want both, because that's not going to lead to a committed relationship. Let me help you out with something. It may lead to a relationship. It may lead to a temporary relationship. It may even lead to a relationship, but it won't lead to a committed relationship. See, everything begins with language. We've got to understand what we're speaking. We've got to understand how we are looking at life through a perspective that is at odds with one another. You've got to understand that. So you're when I say you're all over the place, you say you want a committed relationship, but you still want to party. That's not a committed relationship. That's just being a party girl. And the guys you meet are going to be just that. They're going to be partiers. They're not going to be committed to success. Successful men are focused on success. Successful men are focused on building a great quality of life, a family. That's what they're focused on. They're focused on furthering their careers. They're focused on having success. This is going to take me into another communication, but they're focused on building success. They're focused on hopefully maximizing their success. You know, it's great to have some success, but this is why I said it's going to take me into another communication, because we've got to understand that at some point in time, and I know what you're saying right now is, you know, I'm not ready for that. Well, that's the point. You're not ready. You're not ready for a committed relationship when you still want to party. You just need someone to party with. But because you know that you want someone who's successful, that's where you're confused. Because successful men are not interested in that. Let me keep it real with all of you. Successful men are looking for not only being successful, but maximizing their success. And then they're looking at ways that they can have advantage over their success. And that's part of maximizing their success. Let me tell you what that looks like. They're looking for ways to contribute to society. They're looking for ways to, and I know some of you are going to say, well, this is an interesting concept, but they're looking for ways to write off, to reduce their tax liability. They're going to donate to charitable causes. They're going to focus on wealth preservation. They're going to focus. That's what successful men do, men or women. So if you're a guy out there and you're looking for someone to be in a successful relationship, stop looking for the party girl. Stop looking for that. You're looking for someone who is focused on the future. We live in the present, but they've got to be focused on the future. That's success. That's maximizing your success. When you maximize your success, you then are afford the opportunity to enter into the fullness of God. Successful men are not looking for stupidity. They're not looking to do stupid things. They're not looking to just hang out and party. Those are people that are just going to hang out and party. But that's not going to allow you to be in a committed relationship with a successful man. The goal is to be in, two is better than one. So the goal is to be in a successful relationship. How do you get into a successful relationship? You both are on one accord with what you're trying to accomplish. For the future, not for the present. Because your present is dictated by the work you've put in and the things you've done in the past. That's what your present looks like. But your future is brighter than your present. more commonly known as progress, more commonly known as success, more commonly known as the fullness of God. Or it may not be commonly known, but I'll speak that into existence. The point is, the reason you're having difficulty finding a committed relationship is because you want a successful partner who is committed to a relationship when you're still committed to the party, to the next party. You've got to start with you first. What changes can I make that are going to allow me to begin on a new journey? A journey that's going to lead to something greater. And the reality is that you're still young enough that you can, look, I use that term, but I'm going to break that down. When I say young enough, you still have an opportunity if you're still living. So no matter how young you are, no matter how old you are, I'm just happen to be responding to a communication by someone who's younger than my generation. Right there between the baby boomers and the millennials. Early stage. You just got out of the millennial. You just missed the millennial cusp. But here's the reality. You're still young enough that you can have a great quality of life. You know, it's not, you're having difficulty getting into a committed relationship. It's not over. You say you're ready. Pardon me. I got ahead of myself. You say you're in your mid-30s. So you got to know you still have time to get this right. But you have to work on you and then work on the other component. I'm going to address another communication, and this is the communication that I got a little ahead of myself. But this came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated you are ready to move into a more successful phase in your life. However, you said you don't even know where to begin. You know, accept that you're not ready. Let's start there. Accept that. Accept that if you don't know where to begin, the first thing you have to do is accept that you're not ready. And begin to prepare yourself. Right? What do you want to accomplish in life? Let's start there. You know, you're relatively new to the broadcast, so you may have missed when I talked about developing a 7-year plan, a 14-year plan, a 21-year plan. What do you want to accomplish both personally and professionally the next 7 years? Let's start right there. Now, you actually are the one that I got a little ahead of myself. You're in the right there at the early point of between millennials and baby boomers. So you got to realize that you still have time. And you have time as long as you do nothing. That's the message. So you say you want to move into a more successful phase of life. That means you've got to prepare yourself. You got to prepare yourself now so that in the future you can accomplish what you want to accomplish. You've got to prepare yourself. You've got to start with all of the things that are going to determine what you accomplish personally and what you accomplish professionally. So you've got to say to yourself, okay, What do I want to accomplish personally in the next 7 years? Each year, how about this? Each year, and I'm gonna give you a target. Just do this exercise, and for all of our listeners and viewers who want to participate in this, it will bless you. It will do you good. For the next 7 days, till next Monday, the next 7 days, you're going to do this. Write what you want to accomplish. Each day is going to represent 1 year, what you want to accomplish in the next 7 years. Each day you're going to write for year 1, what you want to accomplish personally, 3 bullet points. What do you want to accomplish personally? 3 bullet points. And what do you want to accomplish professionally? 3 bullet points. You can do more, but that's for the first year. And then look at each quarter and decide how you can accomplish those each quarter. So you want to place 3 bullet points for what you want to accomplish personally, 3 bullet points for what you want to accomplish professionally. That's the first day. Do the same thing, because that first day represents the first year. Do the same thing the next day. Do the same thing the next day. In 7 days, you will have a plan for the next 7 years. Now, you can go back and make revisions, you can go back and make additions, but the goal is to have that completed in 7 days. That's the first place to start. The reason that you want to do that is because you've got to have a clear picture of what you want to accomplish. So, you might want to accomplish working on your body. So you're going to start working out, whether it's at home or in the gym. You may want to work on your mind. So you may want to read more of material that is relevant to what you want to accomplish. You may want to work on your spirit, getting closer to the Lord, because you know the benefit of that. You understand that there's a benefit of that. And if you don't understand that, I'm telling you there is. And in addition to that, you want to write what you want to accomplish professionally. You know, are you seeking promotion? Is that what God has for you, right where you are? You want to write 3 bullet points for that. How do you go about that? What steps do you need to take to make certain that you get promoted? You have to develop 3 bullet points for that. But do that every single day for the next 7 days. You will have your 7-year plan. And if you don't do that over the next 7 days, then you're not ready. You're not ready to go to the next phase. That's preparing yourself. That's how you become ready to go to the next phase. You do those things. That will help you to identify where that is your beginning. And here's what I want you to know. You're not the only person who's ever said that you don't know where to begin. But you got to begin. You won't get there if you do nothing. So you have to do something. You have to begin the process. First step is acceptance that you're not ready. And then you can begin to prepare yourself. But you have to know what you want to accomplish. You have to know what you want to accomplish in order to accomplish it. If you don't know that, you can't begin. So I'm going to encourage you to do that over the next 7 days. And then email me your 7-year plan. I'll take a look at it. I'll give you some feedback. We want everyone to get to the place that God has purposed for all of our lives. We want to become successful. We want to maximize our success. We want to enter the fullness of God. And we want to experience the fullness of God, and we want to enjoy a great quality of life. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace.